The camera doesn't lie. The bottle doesn't lie. The little boy doesn't lie. And yet somehow, Chrisean Rock stood on a Kick livestream this week, looked her audience dead in the pixels, and asked the entire internet to believe that every glass, every cup, every shot, every visible cloud of smoke we all watched her swallow while she was carrying Chrisean Jr., every single frame of it, was juice. That's the story. That is the official version we are being asked to swallow tonight. And I promise you, before this video is over, that story is going to fall apart in front of you, on camera, with her own words, her own footage, and her own receipts stacked one on top of the other until there is nothing left to hide behind. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, get comfortable, because tonight we are opening the file on Chrisean Rock, and we are opening it with the lights on. I want you to understand the stakes before we go 1 inch further. This is not a gossip video. This is not a dunk. This is a child. Chrisean Jr. did not choose the womb he grew in. He did not choose the drinks that came near it. He did not choose the smoke. He did not choose the club nights, the podcast benders, the ringlit live streams where his mother laughed off every warning the audience typed in the chat. He is here now, and he is fighting to hit the milestones every other toddler hits without thinking. And every time Chrisean Rock opens her mouth to rewrite what really happened during her pregnancy, she is not just lying to you. She is lying to a Child Protective Services caseworker who might be watching. She is lying to a pediatric specialist who might be reading. She is lying to a judge who one day might have to decide who gets to raise that little boy. So no, we are not going to let the rewrite pass tonight. Not on this channel. Not on this record. Let me set the scene. Chrisean Rock went live on Kick this week. She said she wanted to clear the air. She said she wanted to debunk, as she put it, a few things about the pregnancy. Specifically, she wanted to address the viral clip of her in the black dress with the glass in her hand at a club appearance. The one where she is visibly, obviously, undeniably, physically pregnant. She said, on camera, that the drink in that glass was juice. She said the shots on Jason Lee's set were nothing. She said the bottle at No Jumper wasn't hers. She said the smoke was organic, whatever that is supposed to mean. She said her son is thriving. She said the internet is lying. She said she never touched a drop. Every one of those sentences will be dismantled on this record tonight, and every one of them is going to be dismantled with her own footage and her own voice on her own timeline. Now I want you to sit with something for a minute. If a mother will look you in the face and tell you the sky was green on a day the whole world watched it turn blue, what else is she willing to lie about? If the story about the glass collapses, ask yourself which story is next. Is she really the one bathing that little boy every night? Is she really the one feeding him solids on schedule? Is she really the one who never, ever leaves him alone in that apartment while she takes another live stream call? Is she really the one who screens the strangers who walk in and out of his life? Is she really the one making it to every appointment? Is she really the one on the floor doing the exercises the therapists send home? Because we are about to prove, with her own footage, that when the cameras were rolling and the world was watching, she looked us in the eye and lied about the most documented act of her entire pregnancy. So the second question, the harder question, the question that should be sitting with every child welfare professional in this country tonight, is what she is willing to lie about when the cameras are off. Roll the first clip. Black dress. Club lights. 8.5 months along. Glass in her hand. Colored drink to the rim. She lifts it. She sips. And then it happens. Watch her face. Watch it closely. Because that is not the face of a woman drinking cranberry juice. That is not the face of a woman drinking a mocktail. That is the involuntary flinch. That is the pull back your face does when a drink hits your tongue and the alcohol is stronger than you were bracing for. Every adult who has ever taken a sip of something spiked knows that exact micro-expression. It is not acting. It is not editing. It is the body telling on the mouth. And then, watch what she does next. She doesn't hand the glass off. She doesn't set it down. She drinks it again. And Glorilla, standing right next to her, turns her back. That turn is not a coincidence. That turn is a grown woman deciding she is not going to be in the frame for what comes next. This is why so many of us beg the people in her circle to say something. Anything. One sentence. One hand on the wrist. One not tonight, sis. That is what family is supposed to do. That is what a village is supposed to do. And instead, the village looked the other way while a pregnant girl walked around a nightclub with a real drink in her hand. Freeze that frame for a second, because I want to talk about the excuse before we get to the next receipt. Chrisean Rock has said on multiple live streams that she did not always tell the club owners and the party promoters she was pregnant. Ask yourself why a headliner would hide a pregnancy from the venue booking her. Because pregnant women are, in the eyes of a nightclub, a liability. Nobody wants a pregnant girl on their guest list in a room full of drunk adults and short tempers and unpredictable crowds. Unless you are Beyoncé, unless you are Rihanna, unless you are Cardi B, unless you are Nicki Minaj, unless your name is that big and your team is that thick, nobody is booking a visibly pregnant host to walk through their club. So Chrisean Rock made a choice. She hid the pregnancy from the promoters, showed up, and once she was in the door, drank like the pregnancy wasn't there. That is not partying. That is deception layered on deception, and the person paying the tab on it wasn't the club owner. It was the baby. And that pattern, hiding the pregnancy in one room, then acting like it wasn't there in another, is going to repeat all the way through this video, because it is the defining behavior of Chrisean Rock's entire third trimester. Now, before somebody in the comments tries to write me an essay about how she was only carrying juice, I want to acknowledge the alibi and then bury it. Yes, plenty of pregnant women drink mocktails. Yes, plenty of pregnant women hold a glass to fit in. Yes, plenty of pregnant women take a sip of a friend's drink and stop. That is not the argument. The argument is that Chrisean Rock has been captured on multiple platforms, on multiple nights, in multiple outfits, drinking not one glass but repeated glasses, taking not one sip but back-to-back shots, and pairing it with visible smoke. That is not the pattern of a woman being misread. That is the pattern of a woman being caught. And the volume of that pattern is what the rewrite cannot survive. 1 clip you can spin, 2 clips you can stretch, 5 clips, 10 clips, 20 clips across half a dozen platforms. You are no longer in the realm of misinterpretation. You are in the realm of documented behavior. Cue the second tape. Jason Lee, his set, his couch, his cameras. Chrisean Rock walks invisibly pregnant. Everyone in that studio knows she is pregnant. It is not a secret. It is not a whisper. It is not something the staff had to piece together from context clues. She has been announcing the pregnancy publicly for weeks. It is one of the reasons she was booked. And then, on that couch, on that show, she pours. She pours a clear liquid straight from a bottle, and she chases it. Not once. Not twice. Watch it back. She is taking pulls the same way any of us have seen adults take pulls at a house party. And Jason Lee, sitting right there, keeps the cameras rolling. I want to be careful here, because I actually respect a lot of what Jason Lee has built. But respect does not mean I am going to hand him a pass tonight. That is his set. Those are his cameras. That is his production. He knew she was pregnant. He knew there was alcohol in the room. He had the authority to remove every bottle from that table before she walked in. He had the authority to say, on the record, not on my show, not tonight, not while you are carrying a child. He did not. And the argument that he could not have policed Blueface drinks either falls apart. Because if a pregnant girl on your set can see an open bottle within arm's reach of her, she is going to reach for it. And everyone in that building knows Chrisean Rock's reputation for reaching. This was not Jason Lee's crime. Nobody is putting the medical file at his door. But he had one lever to pull, and instead of pulling it, he let the tape run because the tape was going to go viral. That is a choice. And choices carry weight when a child is the one paying for them. It takes a village. Jason Lee had a village role that night. He chose the ratings instead. And when a man who has himself been very public about his own struggles with alcohol chooses to keep the bottle on set in front of a pregnant girl in her third trimester, he does not get to pretend he did not understand the assignment. The wheels really come off, though, at no jumper. Cue that tape. Chrisean Rock is in the guest chair, pregnancy showing, the room warm, the mic hot. The hosts, to their credit, start asking her about her state. She gets defensive. She starts talking over them. She insists she is not drunk. She insists she is lucid. She insists they are trying to twist her words. And then, one of the staff members leans in and quietly slides the bottle of alcohol out from where she has tucked it under her leg. Under her leg. Not on the table. Not next to her. Hidden. A grown adult woman, on a podcast, on camera, in a public conversation about her pregnancy, has stashed an open bottle where she thinks the lens can't catch it. They lift it out. They swap in a bottle of water. She grabs the water. And here's the tell. Watch this closely. Because a few minutes later, thinking the heat has passed, thinking the subject has moved on, thinking nobody is going to catch her twice, she reaches back, pulls another shot, throws it down her throat, and chases it. On camera. On the same podcast where she just spent 3 minutes swearing she was not drinking. That is not a slip. That is muscle memory. That is a woman so comfortable with the ritual that even after being confronted, even after the bottle got swapped, even after the whole room told her they were on her side, she went right back to the bottle the second she thought the conversation had moved on. And that behavior right there is the single most important piece of evidence in this entire file, and I want to explain why. Because the No Jumper hosts did not accuse her out of malice. They did not attack her. They did not try to embarrass her. They tried to give her an off-ramp. They tried to give her a chance to correct the record while the cameras were still rolling. And instead of taking the off-ramp, she reached for another shot the moment their backs were turned. That is not the behavior of a woman being falsely accused. That is not the behavior of a woman being framed by the internet. That is the behavior of a woman whose relationship with the bottle has gone past habit and settled into reflex. When the very same podcast that just tried to save her image is the podcast where she then takes her most brazen on-camera shot of the entire pregnancy, you are not looking at a misunderstanding. You are looking at a compulsion running unchecked in front of a live audience. Play the next one. Because if the first 3 tapes were her getting caught, this next tape is her giving the whole internet permission. On a live stream during the pregnancy, Chrisean Rock, unprompted, tells her audience, and I am paraphrasing, so we are not quoting a rewrite, that pregnant women can smoke and drink if they want to. She says it lightly. She says it like it is a shrug. She tells her viewers not to bring the pregnancy up in her comments anymore. She tells them to stop calling her. She frames the concern as harassment. That is the clip. That is the receipt that ends every rewrite she is trying to run tonight. Because you cannot go on a live stream and grant the entire internet permission to drink and smoke through a pregnancy, and then, months later, when your baby is struggling with milestones, every pediatrician will tell you connect to prenatal exposure, turn around, and claim the whole thing was performance art. That is not a redemption arc. That is a hostage negotiation with the truth. That is what Chrisean Rock is trying to do tonight on Kick. She is trying to convert the tape into a joke. She is trying to convert the shots into juice. She is trying to convert the smoke into aromatherapy. She is trying to convert the permission slip she handed her fans into a piece of satire. And the reason it will not work is that we all watched. Not one of us. Not 10 of us. Millions of us. Multiple platforms. Multiple studios. Multiple outfits. Multiple bottles. This is not a rumor she can rebrand. This is not a story she can spin. This is not a headline she can outrun. This is documented, time-stamped, uploaded, mirrored, clipped, screen-recorded footage that lives in 1,000 places she does not control. You cannot rewrite what the entire internet already downloaded. You cannot unupload a memory. You cannot ask millions of viewers to unsee the frame. And I want to say this next part carefully, because it matters. This is not about hating a young woman. Chrisean Rock is young. Chrisean Rock has been through more in 20-something years than most people will process in a lifetime. Chrisean Rock has been failed by every adult who was supposed to hold her accountable during that pregnancy. The Jason Lees of the industry failed her. The No Jumpers of the industry failed her. The friends who turned their backs at the club failed her. The label people who kept booking her while she was visibly carrying failed her. The men who kept passing her the bottle failed her. Every single adult in that room, on that set, in that live stream, at that studio, had a lever they could have pulled, and none of them pulled it. And so what we are watching now is not just the failure of one woman. It is the failure of a whole ecosystem that treated a pregnant girl like a content asset instead of a mother in need of a village. But here is the line, and this is where the sympathy has to stop. Chrisean Rock is not a child. She is an adult. She was an adult during that pregnancy. She had access to the same doctors, the same warnings, the same free pamphlets in every clinic waiting room, the same billboards on every highway that tell every pregnant woman in this country that alcohol and cigarettes and smoke can permanently alter a developing baby. She was not uninformed. She was not without options. She was not without people begging her, in her own comment sections, night after night, to put the glass down. She chose. And a child who did not get to choose is now the one carrying the consequences. Pause on that, because that is the part Chrisean Rock cannot lie her way out of. Chrisean Jr. is here. Chrisean Jr. is real. Chrisean Jr. is a whole entire human being with a face and a name and a heartbeat and a future. And every time his mother goes on a live stream and tries to convince her fans that everything is fine, that he is thriving, that he has no diagnosis, that the doctors are wrong, that the internet is out to get her, she is not just protecting her image. She is delaying the interventions that little boy needs. Every month a child like Junior does not get the specialists his condition may require, is a month of therapy he does not get back. Early intervention is the entire ballgame for a child born with prenatal exposure. The window matters. The clock matters. And every rewrite Chrisean Rock records on Kick is a rewrite that eats another month of his clock. Now let's talk about the smoking. Because Chrisean Rock has been quick to construct alibis for the drinking, but she has been strangely quiet about the smoke. There is a clip where she jokes about it being an organic vape, as though the word organic somehow neutralizes what a developing lung inhales secondhand from inside a womb. There is no such thing as organic secondhand smoke to a fetus. There is no such thing as a harmless puff when the passenger in the passenger seat of your body has no choice in the matter. And yet Chrisean Rock spent months treating the pregnancy like a costume she could take off between sessions. She hit blunts on live. She hit vapes on podcasts. She sat in cars, in studios, in green rooms, in living rooms where the air was so thick with smoke you could see the haze on camera, and she did not step out. Not once. Not for the child. And her defenders online, the ones who will flood the comments the second this video posts, will tell you that plenty of women smoke and drink through pregnancies and their kids come out fine. That is a real argument they make. And it is one of the most dangerous arguments in the whole conversation, so I want to answer it head on. Yes, biology is a lottery. Yes, one woman can drink through 9 months and deliver a healthy baby, and another woman can take one glass at a wedding and hand her child a diagnosis for life. That is precisely why the medical guidance is 0. Not moderate. Not careful. Not organic. 0. Because you don't know which lottery ticket your baby is holding until the baby is here. Chrisean Rock knew. She has been told. She has been asked. She has been begged. And she made a choice with a lottery ticket that wasn't hers to gamble. Let me put something else on the record, because a lot of people watching this may not know the medical reality. Prenatal alcohol exposure does not require a woman to be blackout drunk to cause harm. It does not require binge drinking every night. It does not require a bottle a day. It requires exposure at the wrong developmental window in a fetus whose organs and nervous system are laying down structural pathways that will define the rest of that child's life. A few shots on the wrong week can do what a whole party would not do the week before or the week after. That is why the guidance is absolute. That is why every OB in this country, every midwife, every family doctor, every clinic poster on every waiting room wall in America says the same thing in the same tone. Not one drop. Not one puff. Not one time. Not because doctors are trying to police women. Because the science does not leave room for negotiation. Cue one more piece of footage. Look at Chrisean Jr. Really look at him. Not with hate. Not with cruelty. Not with the kind of gawking the internet loves to do. Look at him the way any adult should look at any child. Look at the way his little body is moving. Look at the reports his own family has been trickling out. Delayed milestones. Feeding difficulties. Therapy sessions his mother now uses as a talking point to prove how attentive she is, without pausing to ask why he needs those sessions in the first place. A mother who is truly focused on her son's recovery does not go on Kick to argue with the internet about whether the drink in her hand 3 years ago was juice. A mother who is truly focused on her son's recovery is off camera, is in the appointment, is in the therapy room, is on the floor with him doing the exercises the specialists prescribed. Not on live stream, not on a rewrite tour, not defending a bottle she should have put down before he was ever conceived. This is where the story turns. Because we have been asking who is at fault for a long time in this saga, and tonight the answer has to be said out loud. It was not the devil. It was not the industry. It was not the label. It was not the boyfriend. It was not the friends. It was not the fans. It was not the trolls in her comments. It was not the cameras. It was not the algorithm. It was Chrisean Malone. Full name. Full weight. Full accountability. She lifted the glass. She hit the blunt. She took the shot. She poured the pour. She waved off the warnings. She turned the comment section into an enemy so she wouldn't have to face what the comment section was actually telling her. Every adult in that ecosystem failed her. Yes, But Chrisean Malone is the only person on this earth who was inside that body with that baby, and she is the one who decided what went into it. And imagine, just for a second, what kind of priorities it takes to keep a boxing career on a schedule, but not a pregnancy on a schedule. Imagine the discipline it takes to train for a fight, the diet, the camps, the sparring, the weight cuts, the recovery. She had access to that discipline. She used it. She just used it for the ring and not for the womb. She could put down the shot for a weigh-in, but not for a heartbeat. She could pass on the smoke for a fight card, but not for the child growing inside her ribcage. That is not a lack of self-control. That is a ranking of priorities. And her child ranked below the belt she wanted to win. Chrisean Rock will come back on Kick tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after that, and she will tell her audience that this video, and every video like it, is a hit piece. She will say that we are jealous. She will say that we are broke. She will say that we are miserable. She will say that we do not know her. She will accuse the whole commentary sphere of running a coordinated campaign against her son. She will cry. She will show a clip of Chrisean Jr. hitting a milestone. She will point at it and say, "See, he is fine." She will not answer a single one of the actual questions on the table. Because she can't. Because when you build your entire defense on the phrase, "the drink was juice," you have already lost the argument. All that is left is the performance. And I want to be clear about the redemption door. Because I know some of you in the comments will say people can change, people can grow, people deserve a second chance. Yes, they do. Absolutely they do. But redemption is not a live stream. Redemption is not a kick rant. Redemption is not a curated milestone reel. Redemption is quiet. Redemption is a mother who says the words out loud, on the record. I made choices during my pregnancy that I regret, and my child is living with the consequences, and I am dedicating the rest of my life to giving him every tool his medical team recommends. That is redemption. That is the sentence that opens the door. Chrisean Rock has not said that sentence. She will not say that sentence. Because saying that sentence would collapse the entire brand she has built on being untouchable. And so long as the brand outranks the boy, redemption is closed. You can restyle your image. You can shoot new footage. You can pivot the narrative. You can hire a new team. You can rebrand the family. You can post the perfect birthday video. You can drop a documentary. You can sit across from every soft interviewer in the industry and cry the perfect number of tears. You can even convince a portion of your fan base that the internet made the whole thing up. What you cannot do is edit the tape. What you cannot do is unpour the drink. What you cannot do is take back the smoke. What you cannot do is put those months back into the womb and run them a second time, clean this time, sober this time, with the child's future actually in front of your own convenience. Every time you look at Chrisean Jr., know what he is carrying. Every time he struggles to fall asleep, know why. Every time he pushes food away, know why. Every time therapy takes a little longer than the last kid on the caseload, know why. Every time he tries to stand on his own 2 feet, and the ground gives out from under him a beat later than it should have, know why. This is not the devil. This is not a random cruelty of the universe. This is not bad luck. This is a chain of choices made by a grown woman with a phone in her hand and a live stream running that landed on the smallest, most defenseless person in the room. A child who never opened a bottle. A child who never lit a blunt. A child who never asked for any of it. Junior is a blessing. He is a whole life. He has potential the specialist will unlock day by day if he is given the runway he needs. He will laugh. He will love. He will grow. He will surprise every doctor in his file. He will find his people. He will build a story that belongs to him. But he will do it uphill. And the hill was built for him before he was born. And the person who built it was the same person who was supposed to protect him from it. That is the whole tragedy of this story. And it is not going away because Chrisean Rock went on Kick and called the drink juice. There is another layer to this that I want to make sure we do not skip past, because the audience deserves the full picture. Chrisean Rock has spent the last several months building a content strategy around her son. She has been dropping the milestone clips at strategic intervals. She has been leaking the therapy footage in tightly edited seconds. She has been giving out just enough of Junior to build a narrative of a mother in recovery mode, without ever letting the audience actually see the full picture of what he is dealing with day to day. That is not accidental. That is a media strategy. And the reason she is running that strategy right now, the reason she is doubling down on the "he is thriving" script this week, is because she knows the receipts we are covering in this video are about to catch a second viral wave. She is trying to inoculate the audience before the tape closes in on her. She is trying to plant a defense in the culture before the prosecution finishes making its case. That is calculation. That is not a mother acting on instinct. That is a public figure running crisis PR on her own child's medical file. And every one of you in the comments who has been asking, where is the family? Where are the aunties? Where are the grandmothers? Where are the older women who are supposed to walk in and take that little boy for a weekend and let his mother sit with herself? You have been asking the right question. Because Chrisean Rock has always had a village available to her. She has always had people around her who could have taken the reins during the roughest stretches of the pregnancy and the first 2 years of that child's life. And whether by pride, by control, by the money the content brings in, or by the fear of what those older women would say if they got a real close look at the household, that village has been kept at arm's length. And a child pays for that distance too. Every child needs more than one adult. Chrisean Jr. deserves more than one adult. And the adults who could be filling that role are being iced out because their presence would break the storyline his mother is trying to keep online. Now let me tell you something that will stay with a certain kind of viewer tonight. Every once in a while, in a story like this, the record does eventually catch up. Not because the internet stayed loud. Not because the commentary channels stayed on the story. But because one specialist, one caseworker, one nurse in a pediatric wing, one preschool teacher who catches something on a routine assessment, one family court judge who reads the file with clear eyes, one adult in the system finally says the words out loud that everybody else has been dancing around. That is how these stories end. Not with a viral moment. With a quiet moment. With a professional who has seen enough. And when that moment comes for Chrisean Jr., when the door finally opens and the right adult finally walks through it, every single one of these livestream rewrites Chrisean Rock has been recording will show up in that file. Every the drink was juice. Every y'all don't know my life. Every laugh off. Every deflection. Every time she called the concern harassment. Every time she blocked a viewer who told her the truth. All of it is evidence. All of it is on the record. So to Chrisean Rock, wherever this reaches you, understand something. The audience you keep trying to convince is not the audience that matters. The audience that matters is a caseworker who might have your file on her desk right now. The audience that matters is a family court judge who might have to weigh what's best for a 2-year-old boy. The audience that matters is the specialist you are supposed to be showing up for. Every rewrite you record on Kick becomes evidence in a room you have not entered yet. Every live stream you use to gaslight the internet is a live stream a lawyer can pull, timestamp, and print. Every bottle you try to hide under your leg is a bottle a camera already caught. You are not running from us. You are running from the record. And the record is patient. To the friends and the cousins and the entourage who were in those rooms with her, understand something too. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is a vote. Every time you sat in a corner of that club and watched her lift a real drink and said nothing, you cast a vote. Every time you hosted a set with an open bottle within her reach and let the cameras roll, you cast a vote. Every time you laughed off a viewer's warning in the chat because clapping back at the comment section was better content than checking on your friend, you cast a vote. Chrisean Jr. is here now, and he is going to grow up in a world where the people who were closest to his mother during her pregnancy have to explain what they did and did not do. And the internet is going to remember, because the internet always remembers. To Blueface, since we are naming names on this record tonight, you were in more of those rooms than anybody. You were sitting next to her when the bottles came out at Jason Lee. You were sitting next to her when the pours happened at No Jumper. You were sitting next to her at half the club nights the internet has clipped 1,000 times. You were the closest adult to that pregnancy for months on end, and whatever your public feuds with her look like today, that is not going to erase what you saw, when you saw it, and what you didn't do about it. And to the label side of that entire operation, the managers and the bookers and the promoters who kept the bag flowing while a pregnant girl kept spinning in front of the cameras, the same clock is running for you too. Every one of you had a lever. None of you pulled it. To every viewer sitting on the other side of this screen right now, understand your part too. This is not a spectacle. This is not a soap opera. This is not a franchise you binge for entertainment. There is a real child. His name is Chrisean Jr. He has a future, and that future is being built one appointment at a time, one therapy session at a time, one specialist visit at a time. The best thing you can do is to keep the pressure on the systems that are supposed to be watching. Keep asking the questions. Keep saving the clips. Keep tagging the agencies. Keep sending the record to the people who have the power to intervene. Chrisean Rock is counting on the internet's attention span running out. Prove her wrong. Because here is the truth, and it is the truth she is most afraid of. The rewrites are not going to work this time. The live streams are not going to work this time. The "it was just juice" defense is not going to work this time. The "y'all don't know my life" deflections are not going to work this time. The public got the receipts before the rewrite went to press, and once the public has the receipts, no amount of kick charisma is going to reverse the tape. You cannot uncrash a car by insisting you never got behind the wheel when the dash cam is already uploaded to the internet. You cannot uncrash this one, Chrisean. The only question left is whether you are going to spend the next 20 years of your son's life trying to pretend the crash didn't happen, or whether you are going to spend the next 20 years in the therapy room with him, doing the work. We are going to keep watching. We are going to keep clipping. We are going to keep asking. Not for revenge. Not for a takedown. For a 2-year-old boy who cannot advocate for himself yet. That is the entire assignment. That is the entire reason a video like this exists. Not to be cruel. Not to be viral. To be loud enough that the systems that are supposed to protect a child cannot pretend they didn't hear. So tell me in the comments. Drop your verdict below. Was the drink in the black dress really juice? Or did we all see what we saw? Do you believe a single word Chrisean Rock said on that kick stream? Or does the tape close the case for you? Do you think the industry insiders who were in those rooms should have to answer for the parts they played? Do you think Chrisean Jr. is getting the care he deserves right now? Or do you think somebody with authority needs to walk through that door and take a look for themselves? Do you think the rest of the family, the aunts, the grandmothers, the older women who could be stepping in, should be pushing harder right now? I want to read every one of your answers. I want to know where you land tonight, because the more of us who go on record, the harder it becomes for anyone to pretend this story is going to quietly go away. Save this video. Share it with somebody who has been asking questions about Chrisean Jr. Send it to somebody who works in child welfare. Send it to somebody who works in early intervention. Send it to somebody who used to defend Chrisean Rock and is starting to have doubts. Do not let this rewrite tour bury the tape. The tape is the record, and the record is on our side, and the record is on that little boy's side. Stay with me. Stay with the boy. There is more coming. There is more that has not yet been reported, more clips that have not yet resurfaced, more people from that inner circle who are about to break their silence. And when they do, this channel is going to be the first place you hear about it. Subscribe if you have not already. Tap the bell. Turn the notifications on. Because the next chapter of Chrisean Rock, Chrisean Jr., and the truth Chrisean Malone is still trying to outrun is going to land. And you are going to want to be here the second it does. One last thing before I go. If any of this footage ever makes it to a courtroom, a caseworker's inbox, or a specialist chart, understand what the record is going to say. It is going to say that Chrisean Rock, legal name Chrisean Malone, spent her 3rd trimester drinking on camera, smoking on camera, and telling her audience that pregnant women were allowed to do exactly what she was doing. It is going to say that when confronted with that footage, she stood on kick and told the world it was juice. It is going to say that Chrisean Jr. was born with a pattern of delays consistent with prenatal exposure. And it is going to say that every voice that tried to raise a flag was labeled a hater and shut out. No rewrite tour is going to change that. Keep praying for Chrisean Jr. Keep watching. Keep asking. And stay with me, stay with the boy, and I will see you when the next chapter drops.